Okay, time for another random Cleveland Cavaliers update. Well, what have I been saying all along? This team is doomed as long as Ty Lue is the coach, okay? That's what I believe. It doesn't matter what players we get. We could be the Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors were the Golden State Warriors. And they were mediocre before Steve Kerr came along. Then they turned into a juggernaut. People just will not admit the importance of coaching in the NBA. This is one of my key things about LeBron James. People want to discuss LeBron James versus Kobe Bryant, this and that. And they never bring up the fact. They never do I see this talked about in the media. It's so important, and they never, ever talk about it. LeBron James has had horrible coaching his whole career. The early prime years of his career, he had Mike Brown in Cleveland. Okay? How did Kobe Bryant do when Mike Brown was his coach? Oh, let me refresh you. He had a freaking dumpster fire of one season. And Mike Brown plus Kobe was so bad, they fired Mike Brown early in his second season. That's how Mike Brown did with Kobe Bryant, if you want to compare Kobe Bryant to LeBron. But yet LeBron had Mike Brown for, I think, 6 of his early prime seasons, his young seasons. And nobody talks about the fact that that may have hampered LeBron's career just a little. You know, that he might have won a championship or two in those years if he had a decent coach. You know, just maybe. Nobody ever talks about that. And it's very annoying. Or how about Ty Lue? You know, if LeBron had Phil Jackson, how many titles would he have? Nobody ever talks about that in LeBron versus Kobe debates or LeBron versus Jordan debates or anything. Okay, that's a side subject. No, I don't know if I have made a video about that, but I will someday. But now let's talk about the Cavs doing poor. Again, I've been watching sports a long time, so I've seen all this, and I know the symptoms of a terrible team. You know, you always have things like your wins. If a team is bad, your wins feel like losses a lot. And you see that, this win that Cleveland just had over Orlando. They won by 4 points. I watched that game. They were struggling most of the game, and Orlando's a terrible team. They took out like a 20-point lead in the third, and then Orlando comes all the way back and almost beats them. You know, they give up 127 points when they're horrible on defense. It felt terrible. It's all those things that a terrible team often has these wins. And like I said, I've been watching sports a long time. A real bad sign is when your team's wins, a lot of time, not every win is going to feel like a loss, but if you have a significant part of your wins that feel like losses, you know, that feel like you should have lost that game or just feel bad, it's a huge tell, you know, as they say in poker, a tell. It's a tell you've got a bad team, you know. And a lot of the Cavs are displaying that. A lot of their wins feel like losses. You know, like, why are they struggling with these terrible teams? Why are they giving up so many points to these terrible teams? You know, okay, even in their win streak, there was a lot of that. You know, we struggled with a lot of terrible teams, even in our, 14-game win streak or whatever we had. And, you're seeing all the symptoms from this. And the other thing that you always get is excuses. You always get, oh, well, we're missing this player, we're missing that player. Every team in every pro sport at all times is missing a lot of players. Get over it. Unless you're missing like LeBron James, you know, I don't want to hear it, you know. Injuries are a factor in everything, but unless you're missing like one of your key cornerstone pieces and stuff, and even then it's not an excuse. Look at Boston. This is the difference. Look at Boston with good coaching and Brad Stevens. They lost Gordon Hayward. If that was Cleveland, that would be all the excuse right now. Oh, we lost. You know, if Ty Lue was the coach of Boston, they'd be about 500 right now, and they'd be trotting out the excuses of, oh, what did you expect? Once we lost Gordon Hayward, we didn't have a chance. Once we lost Gordon Hayward, we were toast. That's what would happen if Ty Lue was the coach in Boston. They'd be like 500, maybe 5 games over 500. They'd be struggling. And they'd be blaming it all on losing Gordon Hayward. Instead, in the reality we actually live in, they have Brad Stevens as their coach, and losing Gordon Hayward, they didn't skip a beat. They're awesome. You know, it's not good a thing that they lost Hayward, but they can overcome it, you know, and they have lots of other talent. Just like, oh, I don't know, the Cleveland Cavaliers. You know, I don't care what people say. We have a lot of talent. We have a lot of talent. We have LeBron, we have Dwayne Wade, we have Jeff Green. Granted, a lot of those guys are on the wrong side of their careers and all that, but we have freaking the 3-point specialist guy. What's his name? The white guy, Kyle Korver. You know, we are loaded. We have Tristan Thompson, Iman Shumpert, J.R. Smith. Those are all just kind of mid-level players, but they're decent NBA rotation players. And they're like 10th and 11th in our rotation, you know. We have Isaiah Thomas now. We have Kevin Love, you know. Granted, he's not the best player in the world, but we have Channing Frye, another sniper. You know, we have a lot of talent. And the excuse for this team early in the season was, oh, we don't have Isaiah Thomas, which I knew would happen because I knew we weren't going to win as long as Ty Lue's the coach. So I know we're going to make excuses all the time. Well, guess what? Now we've got Isaiah Thomas, and so far it's not helping. Now you're going to hear, well, you got to get Isaiah Thomas. You know, these excuses are never ending. For people who want to go down that road, the excuses are never ending. The next excuse is going to be that, well, you can't just expect Isaiah Thomas to come in and everybody to click. You know, you need a month, 2 months, 3 months, you know, however long, artificial time. You know, even if we lose in the first round of the playoffs, people will say, well, you know, Isaiah, those people who rely on excuses will be like, well, you know, we needed time for Isaiah Thomas to gel with the team. And, well, you know, get the hell out of here. You know, it sure didn't take Kevin Durant long to gel with the Golden State Warriors, did it? And before you say, well, yeah, it's Kevin Durant. Well, Isaiah Thomas was an all-star too, you know. Just give me a break. Those are, I knew that you'd hear that excuse, and I knew it was BS from the beginning about, oh, well, we're missing Isaiah Thomas. Well, now we got Isaiah Thomas, and it hasn't exactly changed a lot. It hasn't. And, you know, a lot of people made the point that Isaiah Thomas is arguably one of the worst defenders in the NBA. You know, and to bring him on a team that's terrible defensively, you know, you've got problems. So anyways, because of the coaching that's awful, Cleveland has no direction. We have no, you know, and we've hit a tough part of our schedule here. We played at Golden State, then we had a couple of easy games, then we had Portland, somewhat easy, then we had at Boston, at Minnesota, another tough one. And we're still in this part of our schedule. We've got at Toronto, that's a real tough one, probably going to be a loss because this team sucks. We've got at Indiana, then we got home for Golden State. They're going to run us out of the gym, you know. We're a talented team, and here's another thing that you know is wrong, is that, you know, another mark of a bad team, when you know going in we don't have a chance. We don't have a chance at that Golden State game. We're loaded with talent. We were in the finals last year. Why on earth would we go into that game thinking we don't have a chance? But I'm going into that game thinking we don't have a chance. You know, I mean, I hope I'm wrong like always. And we almost beat them at their place, so maybe we will. But, you know what I mean? It's just a mark of the bad team that we are, that you feel defeated. You feel you can't win any of these tough games. It shouldn't be this way. We have tons of talent, you know. At Toronto tonight, I don't have hopes for that. You know, we're going to lose, most likely. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I always hope I'm wrong. But it's just not looking good for us. So, then I wanted to touch on, given that, where's this end game? Another bad thing is, if you look at the standings, well, I haven't. If you look at the standings, I wanted to get the 2 seed, because 2 seed means you're going to have home court for 2 series. You know, you're going to play 3 series in the Eastern Conference playoffs. And if you get the 3 seed, you're going to get home field for home court, assuming everything goes chalk, of course. Chalk meaning higher seed wins. There's no upsets. Assuming it goes chalk, if you're the 3 seed, you get only 1 series at home. And then your second series, you're going to go on the road against either Toronto or Boston. And if you're the 2 seed, though, which we were for a while, you get 2 series at home. And then only in the Eastern Conference Finals at Boston would we have had to go on the road, assuming that Boston wins. You know, assuming as always everything goes chalk. So to me, you know, having 2 out of 3 series at home versus having 1 out of 3 series at home is a big difference and a big reason to go. You know, I know we're not going to get the 1 seed right now. It almost looks certain, you know, so that's kind of an unachievable goal. But I was looking at little smaller goals during the season, and I'm like, I think it'd be good for the team to get the 2 seed so we can have 2 series at home, you know. and just like last year, and then we'll go on the road against Boston, and we beat them last year. So, but and again, we can't. It's not looking like we're even going to get the 2 seed. We can't even do that. It's if anything, probably somebody will come up and start challenging us for the 3 seed pretty soon. Yeah, it's just not pretty right now. And I don't have a lot of hope. We started out terrible, and then we had like that 14-game win streak. And so I was hoping, but even that 14-game win streak, there were a lot of problems. The defense was terrible. Another thing that's been kind of a bugaboo against us all season is our net plus-minus points has been very poor. And if you don't know what that is, it's a stat that basically tells you how many points you win or lose the average game by. For the Cavs, it's like plus 2.0, and that's it's very low. For like Boston, it's like plus 5.1 right now, which is actually low given their record. And Toronto's actually the leader in the East at like plus 8.7. And Golden State's like the NBA leader at like plus 10. Basically what it says is like it tells you that the Cavs have been winning a lot of really close games, and that's not necessarily likely to continue. To have a 26-14 record and be barely outscoring opponents by 2 points a game, that says you're getting blown out a lot and you're winning a lot of close games, and that's likely to regress. It means it's a very bad sign, very bad underlying sign. Whereas if you're Golden State, Boston, Toronto, especially Toronto, and especially Golden State, Houston, you're winning by an average of like 8 to 10 points a game. And like I said, it just tells you Cleveland is barely winning their games that they're winning. You might say it's luck, and that they're getting crushed in the games that they lose. It's not a good sign. Whereas for Toronto, it's kind of the opposite. They're crushing teams, and then they're losing a lot of close games. So it's more likely that they're going to turn around those close games and start really picking it up. So yeah, it's just ugly, and I wanted to touch a little on where I think the future is going. There's not much left. Here's what I think is going to happen. There's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts, but this season is going to play out ugly, most likely. It's looking like a dumpster fire. You got to get into the playoffs, and you got to see if you can go on a run like we did 2 years ago. Even though Ty Lue's our coach, I think he's a terrible coach, we still managed to somehow win the championship 2 seasons ago. That's what we got to hope for. We got to hope to get on a run. Everybody, especially LeBron, play out of their minds. And LeBron overcome Golden State somehow. Or let's say Golden State gets knocked off by some crazy fate, So that's what you got to hope for this season to me. This regular season is ugly. Just, about all you can do is just hope that they get in the playoffs and that they go on a run, That's about all you're left with anymore. We look terrible, and you're really hoping against the grain there. Because it doesn't look likely. And everybody everybody wants to say Cleveland's just a shooting right. As it is right now, we're probably going to get torn apart by Boston, if we even make it to Boston. So don't give me that, Cleveland will turn on the playoffs nonsense. We can't turn it on against anybody right now, So yeah, that's what I think. I think that, this season is not looking good, but you got to get in the playoffs and see what you can do. That's our hope for this season. And hope to turn it on. It's a long shot, but after this season, most likely you lose, of course. Now, if you win a championship, it's a different conversation, but most likely you lose this season. If you do happen to win the championship this season, then LeBron probably comes back to Cleveland, in my opinion. Why wouldn't you? Because you have total control there. LeBron, see, here's the thing about LeBron. He's arrogant, and he wants to control everything. He doesn't want to have the organization be more powerful than he is. And anywhere else that he goes, the organization is going to be more powerful than he is. He's got a puppet head coach in Ty Lue. He's got a puppet GM in Kobe Altman. The owner, Dan Griffin, is not necessarily a puppet, but he's crazy. He's He's not going to challenge LeBron. LeBron runs that team, basically. Sad but true. And if he goes to another team, a lot of the teams out there, they have strong organizations. That's what he had in Miami. That's why he won 2 titles there. Because there they have Pat Riley. They're very exposed to it. The organization is stronger than LeBron. Cleveland is like the only situation I can see where he's stronger than the organization, But, so that's why I think his preference and his strong preference is going to be to stay in Cleveland. Everybody thinks, oh, he's gone. I think his strong preference is going to be to stay in Cleveland. Why not? Yeah, but they've got to do well this season. That's the thing. They've got to at least make the finals, if not win them. Probably win them. Now, if they don't, what's he do? Lakers, my opinion is they're completely out because they're just not very good. And why would you go to the West? Lakers are not good. Lonzo Ball hasn't been great. Brandon Ingram hasn't been, he's been good but not great. Kyle Kuzma, okay. Look at the team's record. They're terrible, That's why you don't go to LA. They didn't prove good enough, If they were much better than they are, and Lonzo Ball come in and been a lot better, and Brandon Ingram taking a big step forward, and, and they were a 500 or above team, probably you need them to be above, even 500, I don't know. Then I think it would be possible for LeBron to go there, and if Paul George went there also. But even then, like I say, LeBron's not going to want to go to the West because it's so stacked, unless he also goes to a stacked team. So that's what I think he should do is go to Houston, probably anyway. Now that only works though if Houston doesn't win the title. Now personally, I'd rather see him go to Houston regardless, because I don't, Durant went to Golden State. Well, he went definitely when they didn't win the title the year before. But I don't see why there's any law, unwritten or otherwise, that the team can't win the title and then a superstar go there the next season. I think Houston would be the best situation for LeBron probably. And I don't care if they win the title or they don't. But if they do, I guess the smart money would say, well, you can't go to a team that just won the title, because where are you going to take them from there? Like I said, I think that's bogus. I think he should go to Houston either way, but I see the point. But it's looking less and less likely that Houston's going to win the title. Anyway, like 2 weeks, a month ago, I would have said, wow, Houston could beat Golden State. But they've kind of cooled off a lot lately, and they've lost Harden and this and that. So you start to look at Houston and go, well, they're not all of a sudden. They had lost 5 straight at one point. You look at it, and I think some of those were with Harden. It wasn't just all, well, Harden left, so they sucked. So when Harden backs, they'll be great. It wasn't that case, So basically, Houston doesn't look like they're going to beat Golden State right now. It still might, but so that increases the chances of LeBron going to Houston, in my opinion. The other place that'd probably be a good fit for him is Philly. But again, you're dealing with a team that's maybe a little too far away, Plus, I don't know. They've got Ben Simmons, but he's kind of LeBron part 2. So how do you fit 2 LeBrons on the same team? And then they've got Embiid, but the problem with Embiid is you can't trust him to be healthy. You just can't. He could tear up his ankle in game 3 and be out the year. Then what? You restructured your career around going to that team, and they lose this huge piece. I think no matter where LeBron goes, he will be vastly better off because they'll have good coaching. In Philly, he'll have Brett Brown, and Houston, they'll have what's his name, D'Antoni. He'll have coaching again. So I think he will be, no matter where he goes, he'll be much better than Cleveland. But if he goes somewhere else. But, like I said, that's what I'm looking at. I think if he wins the championship, he stays in Cleveland. I think that his tendency, people act in the source media, the kind of conventionalism is, oh, he's gone. Meaning his tendency is to leave. No, I think his tendency is going to be to want to stay in Cleveland. Like I said, he's not going to ever have that situation where he has control like that in another organization. And he likes that. But, so like I said, it all depends. If they win a title, I think he stays in Cleveland. If they just get to the finals and it's like a competitive finals, I could see him staying in Cleveland because I still don't think he will, though. If he's like me and he thinks, he knows he's got to win championships and the window's closing. So I think it's championship or bust. Maybe if it's a 7-game finals and it's very competitive, maybe he stays in Cleveland. But I think his inclination would be to stay in Cleveland, and try to get, and they'll have a high draft pick and all that business probably. Maybe like the 8th pick, something like that. Now, that said, another thing I wanted to touch on that I forgot is there's been a lot of talk about should the Cavs trade for DeAndre Jordan. No, absolutely not. The Brooklyn pick. No, do not. And they haven't so far, and I think that's good. And here's why I think that. DeAndre Jordan is not even good. You've got enough players in the Cavs that I don't know if they're good. I don't know if Kevin Love's good. I don't know if Isaiah Thomas is good. You can make arguments on both those guys. I don't know if DeAndre Jordan's good anymore. He averages 10.6 points a game. He can't shoot free throws, so you can't play him in the fourth quarter of tight games. Why? I wouldn't take him for free, probably. You can't play him in tight games. What are you going to do? I don't know. But I think what the bad thing is the Cavaliers keep sucking here, the pressure to do something desperate is going to grow. So I think that, and people don't realize Ty Lue is why they lose. So they're going to look, if we only had this player. No, you're going to lose no matter what because Ty Lue is your coach. That's what people got to understand. So it doesn't matter if they bring 10 All-Stars in, we're going to lose, So, but people will think that the reason is we don't have the players, so we need to go get DeAndre Jordan. No, DeAndre Jordan will make no difference. We'll be awful either way. But, like I said, the pressure is going to increase to bring in somebody if they keep sucking like this. It's going to be, we got to do something. We got to make a big move. What I read is they're not wanting to trade that pick for DeAndre, the Cleveland front office, and I say bully for them. If that's the case, good on Kobe Altman, good on Dan Griffin, whoever makes those calls, because they shouldn't do it. Because DeAndre Jordan's terrible. I don't want him at any price, just about. I probably would take him free, okay. But so, yeah, I worry that the pressure for a shakeup is going to be too strong, and they're going to make a mistake, and trade that pick for DeAndre. But anyway, so that's my thoughts on the Cavs, where LeBron may be going, about the DeAndre Jordan possibility of trade, and just how the season's playing out, and where I could see LeBron going this offseason.